Today on Breakaway Rail Talk, presented by Arion Pedigrees, I talk to the co-founders of the Stable Recovery Program, Frank Taylor and Christian Countzler, fresh off of being honored with the Eclipse Special Award for all their work in helping people get through recovery and find employment after they are recovered. It's going to be a great conversation. I can't wait for it. By the way, I'm Joe Bianca. I'm an ownership advisor at West Point Thoroughbreds, and Breakaway Rail Talk is presented, as I mentioned, by our friends at Arion Pedigrees. Arion Pedigrees is Australia and New Zealand's leading thoroughbred pedigree provider, but they don't just cover the Kiwis. They cover the US, they cover Europe, they cover Japan, Hong Kong, all around the world. You want to find the best pedigree, the most in-depth pedigree information on the internet, go to arion.co.nz, arion.co.nz. It's an invaluable resource for anybody who's making breeding decisions. You're handicapping the Derby, the Triple Crown Trail. You want to figure out who's going to get 10 furlongs. You're looking forward to the sales, 2-year-old sales right around the corner. You want to go deep, 5 dams down. You want to look at sire and dam nicks. You want to look at crosses. Arion Pedigrees is the way to go. It's unbelievable how our friend Andrew Stewart and his team at Arion, the kind of database that they have. I mean, I'm looking at the page right now, and they're covering some of the races from South America. So South American pedigrees are on the list, leading sires. It's an incredible resource. If you haven't checked it out yet, go to arion.co.nz. Tell them I sent you. It's the best. They're the best in the business. They're the most in-depth, robust pedigree database in the industry. Check them out. And thanks as always for the sponsorship to our friends at Arion Pedigrees. So I'm so thrilled to welcome these next guests to the Breakaway Rail Talk studio. They are the co-founders of the Stable Recovery Program, recently honored with the Special Eclipse Award. Frank Taylor and Christian Countzler, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Great to be here, Joe.
Oh, it's so good to have you guys, and I'm so glad that you guys were honored at the Eclipse Awards, and I'm sure it brought great awareness to the program. So let's just start with the basics. So you run it's called Stable Recovery, and it's a program that helps men who are early in the recovery process from addiction. Take me through the program and how it works. Like, how do these men come to you? What happens after they walk through the door? Like, what's the process like?
Well, the process has changed since our inception. In the beginning, due to my prior experience in working in recovery, everyone we got was coming from incarceration or another treatment center. And through the attention that we grabbed from the horse industry, the TDN especially, we've started to get references from all over the country. We've had guys from almost all 50 states show up. The unfortunate fact of the matter is addiction does not discriminate, and it doesn't care where you live. So there are people that were in need all over. And so we've been able to help those folks.
Yeah, Frank, can you expound on that a little bit more? Like, what's kind of the genesis behind this program? Like, how did it come to be? How did you build out the staff? Like, how'd you get from where you started to here?
Well, about 6 years ago, I had this idea. I basically watched another company that was doing a good job working people in their business, and all the people were in recovery. And it was a restaurant here in Lexington called DV8. And so they were hiring people that were in recovery, and they were having a lot of success. And I would go down there, and the food was great, and the service was great, and the atmosphere was great. So I started thinking, would that work in the horse business? Because, honestly, my first driven motivation to do this was actually trying to find help to come into the horse business. That was my initial motivation. As things went on, my motivation definitely changed, and it was more about saving these guys' lives and helping them. And then while you're doing that, there's a byproduct of developing good workers into the horse industry. So when I talked to Rob Perez, who runs DV8, he said something very profound to me that he said, look, Frank, we're both businessmen. We're running a business, and we're hiring out of a certain segment of society. And he said, in that segment of society, there's addiction all through society, but there's especially high addiction rate in the level that we're hiring from. And he said, so most businessmen think, well, well, I'm not going to hire a felon. I'm not going to hire a meth addict or a heroin addict or an alcoholic. I'm just not going to do that. But he said, my mindset was totally changed. I basically look at it this way. He said, I look at it, I'm hiring out of this group. And do I want to hire out of the untreated group or the treated group? And that was profound to me. He said, because he said what he's found, and I found this to be very true, is when you hire out of the treated group, you have certain characteristics come from people that are in recovery and are working hard, working a program. And that is that they're honest, they're hardworking, they're grateful, they work well with others, and they're very loyal. So when you get that, those characteristics in your workforce, it's just amazing how good things go. And what he told me has played out perfectly in TaylorMade, and then all our strategic partners that hire our people. So it's been great.
Yeah, I was going to ask just a quick follow up. Obviously, some of the graduates do work at TaylorMade, but you mentioned you have other industry partners. What are some of the other places that have taken on some of your graduates and employed them?
Well, we've had a lot, but probably our biggest one is WinStar. We have like 12 guys working at WinStar and one girl right now, and they're doing fantastic. They actually gave us a house out there to house the people, and that's such a it's to make this work. You have to have a lot of accountability, and you need to develop a very therapeutic environment where it's like why other places don't work. I've learned this from Christian or don't work very well is you get them sober 30 or 90 days, and then you have no place for them to go, and they go out. And then they don't have a job, and they go back to the same town, the same triggers, the same people, and then it's just relapse and rinse and repeat, and it doesn't work. When they come to stable recovery, they don't have to pay anything. They get there, they immediately start getting therapy. They start getting into the 12 steps. They get purposeful work. They get paid for the work, and so it's just and they're only around people that are really working at their sobriety. And Christian does a fantastic job. He's got a gift from God that's amazing. He knows how to work with these guys. Both he and I are in recovery, and so we understand what these guys are going through, and that makes it it actually makes it a lot better when you've been through it yourself. So it's the way their daily routine works, and this kind of shows you how it works and why it works, is they get up at 4:30 every morning. They've got to make their bed military style. They have to have their room clean. They got to be at a morning meditation, 12-step meditation meeting at 6 a.m. They're in there from 6 to 6:45. They go to work at 7. They work from 7 to 4. And then they come back home, they do chores, they make each other dinner, and then they do another meeting. Or we have a speaker in the industry. Like last night, we had Wesley Ward came out and talked to all our guys, and we've had a lot of big people in the industry come talk to them. So it's just keeping them busy, keeping them in a therapeutic community. It's very much a family-oriented thing, and it's peer-driven where we're trying not to have the leadership managing these guys. We're trying to have them hold each other accountable. But anyway, it's definitely works very well.
If you don't mind me mentioning the other strategic partners, because we've got a lot more than just WinStar. Spy Coast has been a huge supporter of stable recovery. Coolmore, Godolphin, Root and Riddle, Brookledge, Hallway Feeds has been a huge supporter of the program. So we've got lots of very large organizations that are willing to give these guys a job. And that is what's really special about stable recovery is, there are lots of people in the recovery business, and they'll help get someone sober, but they don't offer anything beyond that. And for me, being a person in recovery, I needed purpose, and it wasn't just to get sober. Getting the sober part was kind of easy. I could do that in a hospital bed or the back of a cop car or a treatment center. But what came after that? And that's what stable recovery does different from anyone else. We're providing these folks with a meaningful job that they can feel good about. It's good, hard manual labor. They feel accomplished when they get home at the end of the day. And so that just supplements their recovery, and it just strengthens it. So our folks are getting the treatment that they deserve. And lots of other places don't do that. They expect you to get a job at Wendy's flipping burgers or at a factory stamping car parts or something like that. And for me, when I was in the early part of my recovery journey, I was made to work at a car wash, and it made staying sober very, very difficult. These folks get to wake up every day and rub on some of the nicest thoroughbreds in the world. And so they feel good about that. And so it just strengthens their recovery.
Yeah, no, that's a great segue to my next question, because, I've seen some other programs like the TRF program at Wallkill that works with inmates to help them and give them skills with horses, and it helps set them up when they do get out. What, Christian, I'll start with you, and then Frank, you can jump in too. Like, what is it about the horses that's so therapeutic, just from your experience and from the experience that you've seen with some of your graduates?
So I get asked that question a lot, and it's hard to put into words. But there's a relationship that is built between a man and a horse, or a woman and a horse. I talked to a lot of the guys that have gone through the program and found success, and a horse doesn't judge you. A horse, you have to earn its trust, and it's one of those things that they have to earn your trust. We've got a lot of folks that have never touched a horse before, and they're expected to get in a stall with a 1,200-pound animal. So that takes a little bit of give and take, in the beginning. And I think the important thing of that is these folks have never been trusted or trusted. And so with this animal, it's different from human beings. They start off on a level playing field, and through the work that they do with the animal, they're building things like trust, which is huge for that. And Frank's probably got a better answer for that. But really, words can't really describe the impact that the animal has on these men and women.
Yeah, I think the horse is just an amazing animal, and the healing powers it has on any person is just unbelievable. And it's something that I really think that as an industry we need to get out and get a horse exposed to more people. Like I say every morning I wake up, and at TaylorMade we got 700 free therapists out there ready to go to work. And I really mean that. Those horses change people's lives, and the bond between a horse and a man and woman is unbelievable, especially people that are broken and having problems. I always, when I was a kid growing up, I've been in the horse business since I was 5, and I would follow my father around, watched him manage people and see. And one thing I noticed, the best mentors I had as far as horsemanship and the best horsemen I were ever around were all alcoholics or drug addicts. And I always thought to myself, I said, well, the reason they're the best is because they can't advance up in jobs and move into management or move on because of their addiction. But after I've done this and learned this and observed more, really what I think it is that there's just a special bond between somebody that's an alcoholic or an addict or has autism or whatever, a broken person. A horse is like made to heal that person. And I just think there's a special bond. Like I say, if I listed the best hands-on horsemen I've ever known, most of them have had an addiction problem. And it's just amazing to see that. I was observing a guy in our program the other day, and he just got in there, and he was kind of isolating and wasn't looking right. And I would say probably borderline suicidal. And I went over and talked to him, and I really didn't make much of an impact, I thought. But so I was just watching him, give him his space. And then I watched him, and he walked up to the barn, and these 3 mares came over and hung their head over the fence. And he started rubbing these mares on the head. And he stayed up there for about an hour or more. And then when he came back, he looked like a different person. It was just like So you get to see it really every day with these guys and women and these horses. It's all these other places can duplicate kind of what we do, but if they don't have a horse in the equation, it's just not as good. The horse is like the secret sauce that really, really helps so much.
Absolutely. And I love the point that Christian made about the trust factor. Because I've seen that going out to the barns. They're such huge animals, but they're kind of gentle at heart. But you have to earn their trust first before they will open that door. And I think that's such a profound point and really awesome to hear. Let's talk about the Eclipse Award. So you guys were honored with the special Eclipse Award. I see the smile on your faces already. That had to be so huge for you guys, so gratifying first of all, but also so huge for the program and the awareness. Christian, I'll start with you. Like, what did that mean to be honored like that for your program?
I think it was a complete shock, first and foremost. Frank had the School of Horsemanship around for about 5 years, but Stable Recovery's only been around for 2.5. And the last place we thought we'd ever be was down in Palm Beach, accepting Eclipse Awards. But Frank really, he earned that. He's been a proponent of this industry for a very long time. So to be able to sit back and watch him get up there and do something that I don't think he ever thought he would be able to do for this program, which actually helps people, So the impact on the exposure was huge, obviously, because there are lots and lots of people out there that are dying from alcoholism and addiction. This is a major problem, not just in Kentucky, all over the United States, all over the world. I was on a phone call yesterday with a woman from Spain, and her brother is in treatment over there, and she came across our website, but the Eclipse Award, I think it helps that. So what that's really going to do is help us help more people. And that's what I was really proud of. But I'm really, really proud for Frank because, he spent his entire life in this industry. He's been to the Eclipse Awards many, many times, watching other people receive awards and for him to have his entire family down there and to be able to do that. I know it was a super proud moment for him and well-deserved.
Yeah, Frank, what was that like?
Oh, it was great. But I want to stress, it's not an award for me. It's an award for Stable. There's been so many people that played a part in getting that award. And the main people are the people that really got in there and had the courage to change their lives and do the work that it takes. That's what that award was for. And the great thing about that award is it gave so much notoriety to Stable Recovery. And like Christian's saying, God, I've just had so many phone calls, texts, things, people giving money. It's just it was just a great opportunity to kind of spotlight the program and outline our goals and let people know what we're doing. And it's just a true blessing. It was if you looked at my past performances over my 62 years, I used to run out like 110 when I was drinking. Like if I had a buyer figure for drinking, I was running 110 regularly. And if anybody thought I'd get an Eclipse Award for getting a bunch of people sober and not drinking, that would have been like, you could have cashed a big one on that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love doing it. It's so rewarding to see these guys and to see their lives change. And we got some amazing stories. We got guys that were, OD'd 5 years ago or down and out, didn't have anything. And now they're running farms for us, taking care of 200 horses and, 25 employees. And we got several guys like that. And then you look at the miraculous story of Will Walden and how he turned things around, what he's done. It's just crazy. And, there was an article yesterday in the TDN about Scott Shepard, and it was such a cool article. He talked about his, when he was down and out, how things were bad. And he was being featured in a road thing called the Road Back on the TDN, which they feature somebody every month. And in that article, he was talking about on one of his darkest days, he said, I'm getting ready to go drink. And he said, we teach them, we'll call your sponsor when you're in that spot. He said, I said, he won't answer, but I'm just going to call him. So I say I did it before I go drink. And he called him and he answered, and it was Mike Lowry, another guy, one of the guys that's run that 200 horse operation at TaylorMade. And he went and saw him. And then another guy that works here, Josh Franks, went with him. And it just so happened that Josh's mother died that day. And they went and got Scott, and they were helping him. And Scott was just saying, here's a guy that's mom just died that day, and he's taking time to come try to help me, which was actually helping Josh that day. He was going through a bad time, but you get reprieve by helping your fellow man. And just to see how that all unfolded and how those guys kept each other sober, and how good they're doing. All three of them are managers now at TaylorMade and thriving and doing good. Not only are they sober, but they're very successful, and they got bright futures.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is just we get to see that every day, and it's awesome to see.
It's incredibly inspiring just to listen to. So to experience it firsthand and see the difference you're making, I can only imagine. Let's talk about how people can help. The website is stablerecovery.net. We can put up the QR code on the screen as well for our viewers. I know you guys got the gala coming up, the third annual gala. Christian, you can start with you, and then Frank, you can talk about it. How can people help? And then tell us a little bit about the event coming up.
Well, exactly like you said, Joe. We've got our website, and there's a donate tab on there, stablerecovery.net. We also have a QR code, which I think you guys will link into the description of this thing. And our gala, this is it's grown every year, and it's gotten better every single year. Our director of fundraising, Robert Osborne, does an incredible job with that. When we first started doing that, we do it during the spring meet of Keeneland, and we were like, how cool would it be if all these folks that are coming into Lexington for that spring meet, if they start talking about like, hey, did you get an invite to the gala? And it be one of the events during that spring meet that people wanted to attend and be a part of. And it has kind of grown to become that. We kind of have the who's who of the horse industry that get involved with that. So it's very important for us. It's April 19th. It's at 6 p.m. It's at Fasig-Tipton. Big deal. It's our largest fundraiser of the year. And, we are a totally nonprofit. We don't charge these guys anything to come into the program, or anything like that. And it's very expensive, to help people, unfortunately. We don't bill Medicaid, so we don't make money off these individuals. We are here truly to help them get a leg up and begin their life. So any amount of support is desperately needed. So go to the website, help us out there. Or if you'd love to come to the gala, it's a really neat event. And it's just gotten better each year. So that's the way to do it.
If you're talking about how people can help us, first, I think it's good to share the story of how we started and how we went. And it was just a struggle at the beginning. We were learning like you're doing anything new. And we were having a little success, and we were getting people from the Shepherd's House, which Christian was vice president of there. So I got to meet Christian through that. And then Christian left there, and we weren't getting the guys we wanted. So I reached out to Christian, and he was working in a business out of recovery. And he was miserable doing that. So I said, hey, why don't I'll pay you for a couple of years myself. I said, you come here and we'll start our own housing and recovery home and all that. And he came up with a name, which is great, Stable Recovery. And then we got it rolling from there. But so not this past March, but the March before, we were scrambling. We were down to 6 weeks worth of funding to operate the program. So we were in really rough shape. And then out of the blue, one of our customers sent us $250,000. And then after that, we got a grant for $300,000. And from that point on, it's kind of kicked on, and we haven't been in a financial crisis anymore. But the thing about it is it's very expensive to run it. I think last year it cost $1.2 million, roughly $1.2 million. And then this year it's like, going to cost probably $1.8 million. So it's a lot of money to raise, and we're not doing this for a profit. We're doing this to provide good therapy and get jobs and at a basically free. So, how people can help. There's lots of opportunities. I wanted to get an endowment started. I've said in my thing, I got a big goal. I want to get $25 million endowment in place by 2030. So that's a big thing. If anybody's out there that's really wants to step in and help with that, we definitely need help there. On barking on down the level, giving it any level would be great. We have the option where you can give on a monthly basis. We're trying to build that up some. And then attending the gala and all that is big. And I just got my information on the gala and the levels of support. So there's a title sponsor of $25,000, a Triple Crown level of $15,000, a Derby level for $10,000, and an Oaks level at $5,000. And then it's $200 per individual and a $1,500 for a table of 8. So those are all ways that we can help. Another thing is just spreading the word about our program and what we're doing. And really the best way for us to expose that is for people to come visit. We have a big house on TaylorMade that houses a bunch of the guys. We got 4 houses actually, but we have one center house we call the Preston House. And, if anybody's welcome, we want to get people to come down, see it in action, seeing what we're doing. And generally when people come see it, they want to participate. So, that's kind of what we're doing and how we're operating. And it's worked so far. We've been blessed.
And Joe, real quick, just one more thing. So everything costs money. So you can go all the way down. We have an Amazon wish list on our website and on our Facebook page. Toilet paper, paper towels, clothes donation, boots. These guys need boots. Anything helps. So obviously those levels of sponsorship in the gala are great, but anything really, really helps because we basically take care of these guys, especially for the first few months that they're here before they start earning a paycheck. And it cost, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, clothes, personal hygiene, everything. So any level of support is greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. And if you do want to support, you can go to stablerecovery.net. The 3rd annual gala is April 19th, starts at 6:00 at Facing Tipton. You can register online at stablerecovery.net. Frank Taylor, Christian Countzler, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Congrats on the Eclipse Award. Congrats on all the great work that you are doing. I so much appreciate the time.
Hey, one last thing I wanted to thank, and I want to thank everybody that supported us. There's been so many people in the industry that have really supported us strongly and believe in our mission. And I want to give a special shout out to Lynn and John Green. They have really, really supported us all the way through. And they're the first guys when we need money to step up and help us. So we're very grateful to them for all they do for everybody at Stable Recovery and TaylorMade.
They're the best.
Yeah, they are.
They're the best. And so are you guys. Thank you for coming on and telling us all about the program. Go to stablerecovery.net. Help them out. They're doing God's work. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So that's going to do it for this episode of Breakaway Rail Talk. Thank you so much to Frank Taylor and Christian Countzler for coming on the show and sharing their story, and obviously for all the great work they're doing with Stable Recovery. If you want to help them out, I can't think of a more noble cause that anybody's taken on in this business. Go to stablerecovery.net. Thank you as always to our sponsor, Arion Pedigrees. You can check them out at arion.co.nz for all your pedigree database needs. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week back on the full version of Rail Talk.